Can you feel it in your bones? Cooper scream is coming. Cooper souls and not alone. Cooper scream.
No run-up intro today. No run-up intro. Had a nice vacation. 3 fucking days. It was wonderful. And I just really want to wreck this fucking guy.
As the priest commands the darkness to pass, his peaceful safe is rhythm divine.
Good to see you guys too.
One at a time. Skanks will fight, sucking up the light.
Let's fucking wreck this guy. He's talking all kinds of shit. Let's do it. Tired of this fucking fucker. Talks a lot of shit. Let's see how he actually does in the arena. In a moderated debate. Let's find out. Just like Craig. They talk a lot of shit. Let's see how they fucking do. Let's see how they do. All right, let's join and see what we got. Let's see what we can see.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, hang on a second.
You're muted.
Yeah, it should be good now.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right. Just getting everything set up right now. It's all pretty much good to go.
Okay. Is Mr. Peterson still? I mean, I don't know if he's here or not. Are we still waiting on him?
Oh, he's right here. And I need to give me a second. I just realized I copied the other one. I need to demod him real fast.
Okay.
Copied another stage we had. Bear with me.
Do you know how I make this full screen on my side with just the 3 speakers?
You're going to have to zoom in a lot. So what I do on OBS is I select the box and then I widen it like 8 times and I just highlight the 3 speakers. And then I shrink it a little bit when we pull up a guest. It's a little bit of a headache, but it gets the job done, right?
Maybe I can do it a different way. Hang on. Can you turn your camera on, Mr. Peterson? Thank you. I'm going to mute myself for a second. I'm just making some adjustments on my end. Just bear with me here for a second, guys.
Yep, I'm doing the same right now.
Mr. Enigmatic, are you in the chat? Mr. Enigmatic, are you in the chat?
Let me get this announcement ready.
Mr. fucking Enigmatic, are you in the chat? I'll just text him. Fuck it. That'll make it easier. Because he has to deal with the delay if I don't. Hang tight, guys.
Let me know when you're ready, and I'll go ahead and launch the event.
Yeah, hang on. I just need another minute here.
Yep, no rush.
This way. I told Mr. E to reset the dono counter. Did he reset the dono counter? No, because he's fucking dumb. It's like, reset it to $3,000 instead of what we raised for the trip. Did he do it? No, he didn't fucking do it. Stupid fuck. All right, let me see if we can do it this way here.
Oh, shit.
There we go. That's something.
Andrew, could you please do me a favor and light up your microphone real fast so I can see the box? I think I got it, though.
Testing, testing, testing.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm
Still
all
need a minute?
No, I'm all set.
I think I should be good too. I'm pretty sure I have audio.
Am I doing blow? Yes. Yes.
Just giving it 2 seconds to start filling up, and then we'll go over everything.
Okie doke.
Becoming
It should start
springtime in
piling
Michigan,
here in
so I
about
got
5
allergies now.
seconds. So, welcome everybody to the debate between Andrew Wilson and Planet Peterson on Christianity shouldn't be in government. Today we have two titans of online debates. I hope you're all excited.
You mean one guy? One titan?
I cannot speak today. Planet Peterson is going to be taking the affirmative. Andrew Wilson's going to be taking the negative. With that being said, the format is pretty simple. We're going to have an introduction on each side, so that's going to be 10 minutes each. So the affirmative first, and then the negative. And then the affirmative will do the cross-examination, and then the negative. The cross-exams are going to be about 30 minutes each, not about. And then the audience questions, we have set about 20 to 30 minutes for that, just depending on how that looks. I think there's going to be a ton of audience questions
Formal
today.
debate.
So with that in mind, if you guys want to go longer than 20 or 30 minutes, I'd love to go longer than that. I'm sure the audience is going to have hundreds of questions for you. No way we get to them all, right? And then the negative, or I'm sorry, the closings are going to be the affirmative followed by the negative, and those will be 5 minutes each. The debate guidelines are pretty simple. That we're going to go into the introductions and closings first, so there's not going to be
Probably not going to be a lot of blood because it's formal. It's a formal debate.
So make sure that the person doing the introduction and closing is the only person talking during that. The cross-examination rules are pretty simple as well. So make sure to manage your time well, right? Each debater may reclaim their allotted time during cross-examination. If the discussion begins to stray off topic, just say something like, I want my time back, and the appropriate debater will be back in control of the questions during the cross-exam. You are in full control of your cross-exam period, although please do be considerate of your opponent and allow them to make their points and try to stay on topic, right? With the questioning during that, only the debater whose turn it is in the cross-exam should be asking questions. So if you're the person that's being cross-examined, it's okay to ask a clarifying question, but don't go into a bunch of questions, right? So try to focus on just answering questions directly and concisely. Once again, do not ask questions outside of your designated turn besides maybe a small clarifying question, right? Don't turn their cross-exam into your cross-exam. Now, the audience question portion is going to be a lot of fun. The audience questions are not timed, though, for another cross-examination. So these are to allow the audience to ask on-topic questions. Audience members, please ask questions like, well, related to Christianity, if it should or shouldn't be in the government. You can always refuse to answer a question. If a debater is asked a question during this time from an audience member and the other debater wants to jump in at asking for clarification on something, that's totally fine. But once again, this is not a second cross-examination time for the debaters to go back and forth asking each other a bunch of questions. If you want me to remove an audience member from the stage that is asking questions for whatever reason, just say, hey, remove them from the audience or remove them from the stage, and I'll do that for you. Anybody on any of the streams, if you have a live question, you can join Politics Discord. It's discord.gg/politics. And you can hop in the audience and raise your hand. You're welcome to come up and ask a live question. In my live stream, I have a Q&A section. It's youtube.com/@realbreakfasttacos. It doesn't cost anything. You just click the button where it says Q&A, and you can post a question for either party. Just right in the front of it, who it's for, question for Andrew, question for Eric, something like that. The interruption etiquette with this is going to be fair with them, right? So keep interruptions to a minimum. Please allow your debate opponent to fully state their positions. If you need to clarify or point out that they didn't address a question, well, feel free to, right? But wait until they finish their point, unless it's way off topic. If you must interject, please do so politely. Ask something like, may I interrupt? Do you mind if I jump in? May I provide input? Then respectfully engage with your opponent. We are not enemies here. We're having a debate. We're having a conversation, right? So allow your interlocutor the opportunity to make their points without undue interruption. And like I said, we're trying to have a productive debate, so you're not enemies. Just keep that in mind. On my end, I'm going to be the moderator. I'm Taka, right? The continuous interruptions or any continuous interruptions or over talking may lead to the use of moderation tools to ensure fairness. My goal is to protect the speaking time of both the affirmative and the negative sides. I'm going to strive to remain an unbiased moderator throughout the debate. We'll go ahead and have the affirmative. So Planet Peterson introduce himself first, and then we'll have the negative Andrew introduce himself as well. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Planet. Do whatever plugs you want to do, and then we'll have Andrew do the same, and then we'll move into the introductions.
Yeah, sure. Planet Peterson. I was a science teacher for about 10 years. Now I kind of do this. I mostly
Let me guess,
try to talk about what I'm known for
school?
is debating people that just reject basic science, like the shape of the Earth, whether or not evolution is true, stuff like that. I'd prefer not to talk about religion and politics all that much, but it gets brought up by people. So my name is Eric. Andrew, I have no idea if you knew that, but just call me Eric. It's so much easier to say than Planet Peterson. But that is my handle, so you can find me on.
Is your last name
YouTube.
Peterson? Is that what that is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just curious.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, that's basically it. I don't do too many plugs. So, mostly on YouTube, Planet Peterson. I am on TikTok. I do live streams on there on the weekends. I do have 2 books out. This is mirrored, but Facts That Aren't True is my newest book. Bunch of popular myths, misconceptions, old wives' tales, and rumors. And my first book is Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. So you can find those in links on my YouTube videos and stuff like that. That's about it.
And then Andrew?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of The Crucible. It's a popular entertainment channel on YouTube. I engage in conversations and debates basically all over the world on a huge variety of various topics. I'm glad to be here today. I appreciate Mr. Peterson coming out to do the debate. I know that we got a bit heated in our back and forth DMs, but I think that's all part of how this works, right? So it is what it is. Happy to have a moderated formal debate. I haven't had that in a while. It's always nice to kind of go back. I almost consider that to be old school now instead of the old blood sports. So anyway, you can find my YouTube channel, The Crucible. Just type it in. It'll pull right up. And you can also find me on Twitter at PaleoChristCon. And I don't have any books, but I do take all of my wife's book money and then I spend it on firearms. I'm very proud of that. And her book is called Occult Feminism. You can find that on Amazon. It's usually a #1 bestseller in its category. So yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know when you're ready, Eric, and I'll start the timer.
I am going to be ready in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
You
Just
now
let me
have
know.
10 minutes.
Let me open up a timer. Okay. So Andrew and I and Taco, we clarified this kind of behind the scenes and setting this up. But so the topic is Christianity shouldn't be in government. But we clarified government means the United States government. So Andrew doesn't have to defend some random country's government. And I don't have to defend the general concept of government, because that would make the debate impossible and pointless for both sides. A theocracy is a kind of government, so arguing Christianity shouldn't be in a Christian theocracy would be pointless. It would also be pointless to argue, does Christianity belong in an Islamic theocracy? So we agreed on that. So the United States government, it's a constitutional republic. That's a form of government where citizens elect representatives to make decisions, and the government is limited by a written constitution. Our government has features. Citizens elect representatives. They're represented in the Congress. And then there are specific limitations on the government. This means that we kind of know what the type of government we have does and how it functions. Not how it ought to function, but just how it does function. So to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to draw kind of an analogy. Compare the government to some other sort of system, because governments are systems. So like an engine transfers mechanical power. There's no such thing as the correct engine, but you can still compare engines that transfer mechanical power, because that's the task of an engine, and then see which one is better at that task. Or we could say something like as basic as drawing a straight line. We're not saying you should draw straight lines, but just that that's what you're trying to do. A ruler does that very, very well, whereas a compass does that horribly. So we can't derive oughts from is's here, but we can still measure normative objectives, and more importantly, we can point out contradictions. In this case, the claim that a compass is good at drawing straight lines, it's not really a contradiction, but it is literally not true, and a ruler is definitely objectively better in this sense. So, back to constitutional republics.
Okay.
A constitutional republic that disenfranchises people and violates its own constitution is clearly one that doesn't work, because that's the opposite of what they are. So I'm not here to tell you that there's a correct type of government, that I know exactly what it is, or that Christianity in government would be like objectively the worst option or anything like that. But we can prove that Christianity should be in government is false, in the same way that a compass is good at drawing a straight line is a false statement. So point number 1 is that we literally know for a fact that religiosity positively correlates with dysfunctionality. You can read about this in scientific and other academic journals. I do have some studies. I can link those or share my screen later. I'm happy to do that. Point number 2 is that the framers of the Constitution, I don't think they were idiots. They studied this and they thought about it extensively, and they understood that no religion can make a claim that is legitimate to rule that can be acceptable. Even in a Christian nationalist's wildest dreams, this could never work because, well, if we became a Catholic theocracy, well, then Protestants would lose their minds. They wouldn't get what they want out of this. So what is it that you do then when you can't Christianize Islam, you can't Judaize Christianity, you can't Catholicize Protestantism? You make compromises instead. And that's what limited powers do. And that's exactly what happened. Madison drafted the First Amendment and its Establishment Clause. Now, Christians, in an attempt for confirmation bias, they try to, they go with this mantra of, no, separation in church of church and state. That was something Jefferson said in a letter. It's not actually in the Constitution. But what I suggest you do is that you should read what the Christian, Madison was a Christian, so this is, you could argue this is a Christian perspective. He's the one that wrote the amendment, and when asked what it means, or the Establishment Clause. When asked what it means, he said, Congress should not establish a religion and enforce the legal observation of it by law, nor compel men to worship God in any manner contrary to their conscience. So according to the United States Constitution, Christian ethics are forbidden from being part of government.
No,
A
they're
national
not.
religion creates a dysfunctional government. In other words, it's a compass, not a ruler. So Andrew's position, I think, would be illegal. So I'm not really sure where. I mean, kind of good luck with that, I guess. I don't think Andrew respects people who loot and riot, cross the border illegally, or violate the Constitution in any other way. So I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see what we're going to hear, but that's an issue I think we have. And then the last thing is, the point of how I set this up is
10
that
fucking
governments
minutes.
are systems, and
10
systems
minutes, and it's
are,
gonna
they have a
take 3
certain
minutes for his
function, and that
opening.
function, if you want to discuss or describe how it ought to work or how it should work, what the best way to make it work is, these are just normative claims. So I'm not really here to talk about objective ethics or morality or anything like that. But if Andrew does try to do that, I'm not really sure that Andrew has the argument. But even if he did, we have the problem of arbitrariness, and you can't derive an ought from an is. So I'm not really sure how Andrew's going to try to prescribe Christianity being in government. He's perfectly welcome to use, because this is what I will try to do. He's perfectly welcome to use any normative claims for what Andrew wants to see happen in government and why he thinks maybe Christianity will help with that. But I think they're going to contradict both the religion and the government in question. And we'll see whatever it is, or later that whatever normative objectives Andrew believes Christianity brings, and those would be his reasons for wanting it in government. I think that there are serious and literal contradictions in almost all of them. So that's my opening statement.
Cool. Are you ceding the rest of your time?
Yeah, that was under 7 minutes, so I cede the rest of my time.
Perfect. Andrew, let me know when you're ready, and I'll start the timer.
Yeah, I have 10 minutes, correct?
Yes, sir. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. You have 10 minutes starting now.
I would like to remark in my opening statement that Mr. Peterson made a very long hit piece about yours truly called Andrew Wilson is a Moron. Very good framing on that, by the way. In it, he claims I misrepresented and gave bad arguments against secular humanism and Craig FTFE. When offered the same debate with the same prompts so he could prove it, our good friend Mr. Peterson did decline. I just want to point that out. Instead, demanding that we do a debate where I needed to, quote, convince him Christianity needed to be in government. When I said that was fine, if I could do the same thing to him in secularism, he also declined. He also, strangely enough, told his audience some false things, and I just want to clear those up very quickly. Mr. Peterson didn't demand this format of debate, so I couldn't evade questions. Rather, we were doing the format that Taco himself does every single debate I have seen him host, and the same format that Taco requested to begin with. So I have no idea why Mr. Peterson made that up, but he did. Perhaps to sound like he got me in some kind of format I'm not used to, but he's going to find out better tonight. Now to the debate itself. Mr. Peterson has the affirmative that Christianity shouldn't be in government. He qualified American government, which I agreed to. He just went over that himself. I'm completely uninterested in any tangential debate that Mr. Peterson actually wants to have, which is just God isn't real, though, which means nothing in this debate. To start with, I'd like to bring up the country most libs point to as the happiest in the world, Finland. In the happiest country in the world, there exist 2 state churches. Yes, that's right, 2. Both of these bodies have the ability to levy taxes. The taxes paid by members of the 2 churches and the rates determined on the parish level. While the government collects the taxes, the 2 churches pay for the cost of collecting them and receive the amounts paid. These go to fund the maintenance, repair of churches and public services such as record keeping, funeral services, and many others. We would call this a form of symphonia in Orthodoxy. The idea of the church working hand in hand with the state, represented by a 2-headed eagle. Now, here in the USA, you can imagine that the government levying a tax at the behest of the church and then collecting it along with normal income taxes would be something Mr. Peterson wouldn't like very much. It's an example of the church and government working just fine. But wait, there's more. Since these are two different churches, one the Orthodox Church, the other a Lutheran church, you would think there would be significant social problems. He brought this up in his opening. Quite the contrary. That's odd considering their dogmas and doctrines are so removed from each other, isn't it? Yet, by all accounts, these two bodies, while they engage in rigorous debate, generally work hand in hand towards the general good and welfare of the peoples of their nation. Mr. Peterson will claim in this debate that there are so many different denominations of religions. How did I predict that? How could we possibly choose which one would represent us? Yet, all of those denominations exist in Finland, and they're doing fine. The happiest people on earth, supposedly. Yet, they have Buddhism, Hindus, Jews, Catholics, Anglicans, Islamics, all under the same roof of a nation, with two denominations being officially recognized as state churches, and those churches having a say in actual policy making. This should be some kind of nightmare for Mr. Peterson, but it seems to work so good that they're the happiest people in the world. Go figure. Now to U.S. policy, try to understand that our nation itself isn't divorced from religion any more than Finland, and never has been. There's simply an establishment clause saying the federal government can't favor one religion over another or prohibit the free exercise of it. Interestingly, they still can. One way is they simply don't recognize a religion as valid, and they do this by not recognizing the church as legitimate and not recognizing them as a church and giving them the same status as other churches. Which, by the way, they do all the time. The IRS has official rules for what a church is. In fact, it includes creeds, forms of worship. It's super extensive. Now to the arguments themselves for Christianity being in government. One, the early history of the United States is one that tells a different story than modern secularists would have you believe, like Mr. Peterson. The founders in shaping this constitutional republic referenced Deuteronomy more than any other philosophy. This study was cited by the American Political Science Review and is noted by the C.S. Lewis Institute, who remarked this. This is also a book that records God's dealings with the chosen nation, especially in establishing the political and legal institutions necessary to govern a nation. Now, we can find text in the New Testament that deals with government. Think Romans 13, for example, and it gives us a sense of the duties of citizenship and the like. But what we find in the book of Moses and in that condensed version of Deuteronomy is the nuts and bolts of how do you make the establishment of a nation. This is direct proof, by the way, end quote. This is direct proof the Bible was indeed used heavily to determine government structure itself. My second argument is that most states at our founding already had state religions, and that you had to swear oaths to Christianity to even hold office. The Constitution was ratified 1788, and there were still states with official state religions, which makes it laughable that under the 10th Amendment, they didn't allow states to have state religions, because they clearly did. Our founders were fully aware of this fact, stating the Constitution was for a moral and religious public. Quote, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. John Adams. Adams is talking about men who believe like Mr. Peterson, by the way. 9 of these states required a sworn oath that Jesus Christ is Lord, in fact. There didn't seem to be very much confusion. My third argument is that the entire United States is already run like a religious institution. Men with ceremonial black robes who sit on high pedestals judge the people on judging days. Other men in black ceremonial robes give and interpret the law. We have national anthems, the etymology of which are liturgical hymns. We have dogmatic beliefs in every sense of the word. Dogmas around patriotism, American exceptionalism, a strict adherence to the concept of rights, an invisible metaphysical concept, which isn't true, but we put faith in it anyway. We persecute heretics. We call them communists and socialists and people who, quote, want to destroy our way of life. Anybody who goes against the law of the land is interpreted by the lawgivers and the law interpreters in the black robes, and they will be persecuted for it. Things like rights and other dogmas are forced on the population as a way in which they must live their life, as a sense of normative claims. Our politicians take oaths of office, often given on the Bible itself, but the fact they are giving oaths at all infers there will be some kind of divine intervention to that oath breaker. They give oaths of office just like they used to. I would argue the entire system is religious and dogmatic in its very nature, and Peterson will have to explain why those dogmas are incompatible with Christianity or reject it, or in any way wouldn't be made better by it. My fourth argument is that blind justice makes no sense. It makes no sense absent the Christian view. This concept is uniquely biblical. Neither rich nor poor judge them the same. In a non-Christian view, there isn't really any reason at all for justice to be meted out the way we mete it out. An eye for an eye or serious punishment is just as reasoned for justice as forgiveness and rehabilitation. Why can't a rapist be castrated or graped himself for the crime of grape? Why not murder the murderer? This is every bit in conformance to reason as the current justice code, except the current one still relies on Christian ethics. I have 6 more arguments after this, but I think that that's probably as much as I can fit in for my opening. But let me address a couple things before we get to the cross-examination. I agree with Mr. Peterson. He can't get an ought from an is, but then he makes this really bizarre claim. He said, Peterson says, I'm at the mercy of a should claim, but he's at the mercy of a shouldn't claim, which is also an ought claim. I don't know if he knows this or not. When you say you should not do thing, that's also an ought claim, just like saying you should do a thing. So saying we should not have Christianity in government is making a normative claim. It's literally making an ought claim. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about there, but we can get into it. What can you do when you can't criticize Islam, he says, or Christianize Islam or Christianize these people? What do they do in Finland, where all of these different denominations live together and there's 2 state religions? Well, what happens is the 10th Amendment goes into effect, and it's up to the ethics of the population to put in the religion that they choose. Also, he says Christian ethics are barred from government, and that's actually kind of just counterintuitive and stupid. If you vote your conscience and you're Christian, that's Christian ethics. Just like that, that's Christian ethics. If you're a politician and you're voting based on your normative ethical framework and you're a Christian, you're going to be voting against abortion bills, you're going to be voting against tax bills, you're going to be voting for all sorts of different things, which are going to rely heavily on your actual ethical framework, which is Christianity. Yeah, it's already there. It's already there. And does he want to get rid of it? No. What he'll say instead is, no, I'm fine if Christians utilize the Constitution by voting in other Christians who can then amend the Constitution. So it's like, he can't even tell me that they shouldn't be there. He'll actually have to say that they should. And with that, I'll cede my time. We can get into the cross-examination.
That was perfectly timed. So we'll be moving into the cross exams. The affirmative is going to go first. You'll have 30 minutes, and then the negative is going to have 30 minutes as well. Once again, in the cross exams, please make sure to address your opponent's questions directly and concisely. And also, try not to turn it into your cross exam, right? It's okay to ask a clarification question. But Eric, whenever you're ready, let me know, and I'll start your timer.
Well, real quick before you start, I'll make a deal with you, Eric. I'll answer all of your questions good faith and concisely, if you promise you'll do the same when it comes to my cross-exam.
I mean, that's what I planned on doing.
I know. I just always make that deal at the outset because, well, people often, if they go first, well, they become bad faith when it becomes your turn to cross-examine them. So if we make that deal, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. The only thing, I mean, I'm going to be pretty anal about like staying to the topic of the debate.
Good. Yeah. No problem. I'm not going to divert. I'm just here to answer your questions on cross-examination from my position.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Taco, I'm ready. So just tell me when you're ready.
Yep. Starting the timer now. You have 30 minutes.
Okay. During the summer of 2020, the summer from hell, and all the, I'm sure you remember, Andrew, the Black Lives Matter riots were going on. There was a lot of looting that was excused by certain like radical leftists. And their rationale for that was because the people were stealing were poor, and they stole from mega corporations, for example, who have too much and they don't contribute to society. So I assume you don't accept that position.
I actually don't understand how this relates to the topic, but I'm willing to engage with it, I guess, anyway. No, I would not accept that standard. But I think that the justification they were really using for BLM was different, which they were making it about social justice. Though I do think there were a few leftist apologists who were definitely making the claim of social inequality.
Yeah. And okay, that's perfectly fine. I mean, without getting into like if you can do it quickly, fine. If you don't want to, then, or if you don't think you can, that's fine. But what's your position on like the redistribution of wealth in general, in welfare in general? Just kind of like for, against, or, and I think it can be done properly, but whatever.
Oh man, that's that's kind of loaded. So generally speaking, I'm a capitalism supporter. I think that has done, as Bono rightly pointed out, it has done more to bring people out of poverty than any other system which is available. But I also believe in the charitable donations of the various peoples who follow the faith, and that they should help where they can help.
Well, personal charity and redistribute. I guess I was thinking from the lens of a bureaucratic government apparatus.
Well, I mean, it's hard. You'd have to give me something specific. Like, do I think that the government has a right to levy taxes? Yes. Do I think that the government should levy income taxes? Probably not. I think there's better ways like tariffs or things like this. But generally speaking, I'm against a redistributive model. If you're talking about government takes from rich guy and then hands it to the poor guy, generally speaking, I would be adverse to something like that.
Okay, fair enough. So I have some quotes, and I want to read the quotes for you, and then I'll kind of get your reaction to them. Whatever certain people have in superabundance ought to go to supporting the poor.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is, it is lawful for a man to support his own need by means of another's property, by taking it, either openly or secretly. This is not, properly speaking, theft or robbery. Another one.
Wait, say that one again.
It is lawful for a man to support his own need by means of others' property, by taking it either openly or secretly. This is not, properly speaking, theft or robbery.
Okay.
Couple more. Anyone who has material possessions and sees his brother in need but does not help doesn't possess love. And this last one's not super relevant, but
yeah,
well,
you're talking about, well, the third one's referencing sins of omission. So there's 3 categories of sin, and a sin of omission would be like you can help a person, but you choose not to help a person.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Next one. Now in human society, no man can exercise coercion except through public authority. With regards to rulers, the public powers entrusted to them, that they may be the guardians of justice. It's not exactly related to the others, but kind of in a little bit. Or it will be in a little bit. So I have one more quote, but one more preface to the quote for you. So sorry to bombard you with quotes. But there are some people like Hassan Piker, not a huge fan of him. You probably aren't either. But they take this position that, for example, being tough on crime doesn't do anything. That's the wrong position because it doesn't address root causes. Instead, they believe we should expand welfare or do reparations or whatever to lift people up, and then people just won't want to steal. I think that that's kind of like me. I don't think that that's right. I'm just curious what your take on that is.
Well, I think that you can have a multi-tiered approach. In the purpose of Christian ethics, we definitely have to keep dangerous people away from society, but we would try to focus on rehabilitative justice before we would try to focus on corrective justice, meaning, and when I say corrective in this sense, I just mean punishment. So rehabilitation would always tend to move to the forefront, though there could be exceptions to that depending. It just kind of depends on what the case use is.
Sure. To be a little more clear, the idea is that this is about before people enter the justice system. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with the idea that we should like expand welfare and things like that so that people have better means so that they don't feel like stealing? Do you think that would
I would
actually
adjust
help?
I would adjust policy so that you could try to steer clear of there being a need for welfare. So I think addressing things like inflation, the value of the dollar, Congress's ability to coin money,
Okay.
various things like this would be a much better route to attacking the causes of poverty rather than just handing poor people money. Ultimately, I don't think that gets at the root either.
Okay, fair enough. And then I have one more quote for you. Sorry to do that, but the quote is, and it's related to the thing about, well, we shouldn't be tough on crime. We should just give to the poor so that they don't want to steal. So here's a quote. There are dreadful punishments enacted against thieves, but it would be better to make such good provisions that every man might have the means to live and so be prevented from the necessity of stealing.
Yeah.
So I gave you a litany
I actually
of
would
things.
generally agree with that statement. But when you're talking about the conditionals for how you go about that, that may be where you would get into the argument. Like, what are the conditionals which would
Sure.
address the fact or the thing that made the person the thief to begin with? I don't think that it's you solely going to be pointing at poverty. There's going to be a multifaceted effect counter. So,
Fair enough. In the context of the person speaking about that, that is kind of what they were talking about, because they were talking about people stealing. So it is material needs that aren't being met. But anyways,
well, who's the person speaking there?
I'll tell you in just a second. So I just want to know, do you
After
agree
you
with
feel like you've snared
any,
the trap, go ahead. Go ahead,
Yes.
bro. Yes.
so do you agree with any of the logic of any of those quotes I gave to you?
Yeah, they would have to be context specific. It's like if you do what's called a quote mining, and you probably run into this all the time with academics. People will take studies, they'll quote mine from studies, or they'll quote mine from various academic papers, and then use that as an example. Flat earthers do this all the time to you evil globies, right? They take
Yes.
just portions of what's being said and they don't contextualize them. And so because they don't contextualize them, you don't really understand in context what they're saying. So I could easily on the surface agree with at least some of what's being said here, but I would probably need to dive into the contextualization.
Well, I'll try to pick out one that I think is actually unambiguous. And it is the idea that it was the second one, the one you had me reread. If somebody steals from somebody to support his own needs, and that person's poor and that other person is well off, then that isn't technically theft or robbery.
Yeah. Well, the thing is what you're talking about is you're talking about a pardonable sin. So like this is a normative fight that people have all the time in Christianity or probably in every secularism, whatever it is. The idea is like, if you're coming out of the desert and you're parched and you're going to literally die if you don't steal water from a well, are you justified in stealing water from the well, right? This is what the question is. And so again, I think that you can add some sort of pardonability to something like that versus, well, I broke into your house to steal shit so that I could buy drugs. I think that I think that there's a distinction in contextualization, and that's why I can't actually agree or kind of disagree with that without additional context.
Okay, in America today, does that sound like something you would support?
Generally speaking, no. But again,
Okay.
I still think that if like a kid stole a candy bar, I wouldn't cut his hands off either, right? I would give some kind of pardon for that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not talking about we're not talking about children.
I'm talking about
in
a
any of these
19-year-old.
examples.
Let's just say, like, I'd call him a kid, right? 19. Well, he's 19, right? He's a dummy. He did something stupid. You know, he stole a candy bar or something like this because he didn't have enough to eat. I think that most people would probably pardon something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, the question isn't whether or not we should enact corporal punishment for it. It's whether or not it even counts as theft. And a pardon doesn't mean that you absolve the person of guilt either. So I've already used my first 10 minutes. So I don't
want to sidetrack. If you can give me the context for this, I can answer it better.
I actually don't think that these...
You don't want to give me the context, do you? Because then the trap doesn't work. Can you just give me the context and then I can answer it honestly?
See, what I think is not... Well, no, I think you're not answering because you don't... I guess I'm not really sure. I don't find these quotes to be requiring very much context. It's not theft if you don't have and you steal from somebody somebody that does, or that people with superabundance ought to give their things away. So the reason
again,
Andrew,
generally speaking,
Andrew, I'm reclaiming my time here. We've already gone through these, so I want to move it along.
Okay.
So I'm not changing the subject. I'm just moving it along.
No problem. It's your cross exam. Go ahead.
But I don't think that these things, I don't really agree that these are my politics either. And I'm a left winger, but I don't think that these agree with your politics either as a right winger. But these quotes are from Jesus, St. Thomas Aquinas, and St. Thomas More.
Yeah. Well, who made that quote?
Which one?
The one you just read.
I read 4 of them. They came from
the last one. The last one that you said is unambiguous.
The second one I said is unambiguous, which was it doesn't count if it's theft. If you
who said it?
That's Aquinas.
Yeah, Thomas Aquinas. So the thing is Aquinas's worldview, especially Aquinas. This is why context matters, right? Because I bet a single paragraph beyond that, Aquinas would contradict himself.
No, I don't think so. I
bet he does. Go ahead, keep reading. Let's see.
No, I got this from Summa Theologica, and that's actually from the. I have it pulled up here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not gonna dive through. Or is it Utopia? No, Utopia is St. Thomas More's.
Yeah.
But I got this from the Summa.
Well,
and
Thomas Aquinas was a great apologist. Don't get me wrong, but I don't agree. Aquinas is not a person that I agree with more often than not.
Okay. And that's kind of my point, because you can't just say that this isn't Christian ethics. These are some of the most important and influential people in the history of Christianity. And
agreed.
Very good. But the problem is that I think, according to you, these ideas don't really have a place in government. But these are Christian ideas.
Why?
Do you understand the problem?
Why are you saying that I think they don't have a place in government?
Because you said you don't agree with these ideas.
Yeah, just because I don't agree with an idea doesn't mean it doesn't have a place in government.
Yeah, but it's according to you.
No, the view here is, here's what the debate is. The debate is, Christians shouldn't be allowed in government. They shouldn't. Right?
No, not Christians. Christianity.
No. Christianity. Christianity shouldn't be allowed in government. Fair enough. Okay, I'll go ahead and grant it, and you can reclaim your time from here too. But I just want to clarify this, that just so you understand, what does that have to do with Christianity should or shouldn't being in government? I don't actually understand that. Can you help me out here?
Because if this is Christian ethics, and Andrew believes that the government needs more Christian ethics, but I can point at Christian ethics and it says that theft doesn't count if you're poor, then Andrew Wilson doesn't agree that Christian ethic belongs in government. Andrew Wilson doesn't agree that Christianity belongs in government.
Well, I don't think you understand. Maybe we can start with this. What do you think Christian ethics are?
So that's a good question for your cross exam right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to answer it, and he can reclaim the time. I just want to make sure that we're clear on this point, because it seems like we're talking. Do you think that inside of the ethical purview of Christianity that there's not rigorous debate? Of course there is, and not only is there, that's completely acceptable. And the idea that Thomas Aquinas could be debating across from like an Orthodox bishop would be totally acceptable.
Yeah, well, I didn't really lay out very much of this in my opening, but I think this is the problem, I think, for the position that you take, is that these are basically contradictions. Whatever it is that you think the government should do, Christianity, I don't think, is ultimately the source, because you'd have to reject specific Christian ethics in favor of whatever Christian ethics you want, or claim that it comes from Christianity.
Yeah, but that would be the claim with any ideology which existed. Like any two, in fact, I would just say any two people which exist, that would be the case and claim would be any two people who disagree, then therefore the person I disagree with has no place in government. Like, that's silly. Like I disagree with Christians on all sorts of
Yes.
things constantly, but when you're talking about a general normative framework, we don't disagree very much at all.
Well, I don't think you would agree with what the bishop at Trump's inauguration said, for example. So it is the case that you find
It's
but
it's a fake
the
bishop.
problem,
Fake bishop.
well, according to her, you're a fake bishop. You know,
No,
she
no,
probably
no,
would
no.
hate your guts.
Their
Or you're not a-
denomination,
you're not a bishop.
their denomination recognized Orthodox as being Christian. We just don't recognize theirs.
Well, that's an interesting position. But anyways, you can find justifications in whatever you want normatively in government, but you're going to find the opposite of it too. So that means Christianity holds the position of X and not X. So whatever justification or reason you have for the
Well,
normative
no, I think you're
objection-
conflating two things
objectives-
here. So it's not that Christianity holds the position of X and not X. It's that some Christians could hold the position of X and not X.
Yes, but
I thought you just
practicing
said
Christian-
Christians aren't what we're talking about, but Christianity, right?
Yeah, but it's a Christian ethic developed by
Well, which
by
Christian
Christians
ethics are
themselves.
contradicting themselves? You're talking about specific people. So I can make this argument to say, let's say I was talking about red pillars. I can say, well, this red pillar over here contradicts this red pillar, but that wouldn't tell us what the red pill was. And it wouldn't tell us what the normative framework was of the red pill, let's say. So you're just talking about particulars with specific people. You're not actually talking about the ideology itself.
So for clarification, this has eaten up about 3 minutes, and
He
this
can
is
reclaim it.
Planet
Look, I'm
Across the
going to
Town.
be super charitable here.
Oh.
He can definitely
I-
reclaim his time. I just want to make sure we clarify a few things. That's all.
Oh, I thought we were still on my time. I mean, I've been okay with it
Yeah.
because I've been asking the questions I want
Okay.
to ask.
Okay, cool.
So I have 15 minutes left then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's cool with me. Anyways, I hear what you're saying, and I think the next line of questioning I has kind of gets to it.
Okay.
Which is okay. So some historical stuff. And I'm not trying to poison the well or lump you in with this stuff. These things are not good. But I'm just throwing them out there.
Are we
So in
doing the
Virginia-
slave? Are we doing the slavery stuff now?
No, nothing about
Oh.
slavery actually. But
Okay.
I mean, I could talk about that, but whatever. In Virginia, this is in colonial times. There was a guy, his name was Hugh Davis. He was sentenced to corporal punishment for having relations with a black person.
Mhm.
His specific accusation was, quote, abusing himself to the dishonor of God and shame of Christianity by defiling his body in lying with a Negro, unquote. We agree that that's bad. In 1959, Richard Loving and Mildred Jeter, they were both sentenced to jail in Virginia for the crime of being married. Richard was white and Mildred was black. The trial judge, he gave them a deal that they could actually avoid jail if they agreed to flee the state of Virginia for 25 years. And his reason was, Almighty God created races, white, black, yellow, Malay, and red, and he placed them on separate continents. And but for the interference with his arrangement, there would be no cause for such marriage. The fact that he separated races shows that he did not intend for the races to mix. And if you look at polling, interracial marriage at this time had a 4% approval rating. It was widely deemed, 4% approval. Yeah, it was just widely deemed to be wrong. There's this guy, Pastor Anderson. He's a real piece of shit. He says, look, the Bible clearly says that homosexuals need to be put to death, and the United States government should do it. So I'm sure that Andrew Wilson disagrees with all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so were they wrong?
And well, what you're using is called a genetic fallacy. So you're trying to attack the position based on the source of the particulars. So this is actually what you're making is a fallacious argument. If you were just asking me,
think so.
if you're can you just very quickly, and again, you can reclaim your time, but can you just pull up a genetic fallacy and then tell us what it says?
Just from memory, my understanding of a genetic fallacy is because things occurred, like historically, this is what occurred, then therefore it was good or justified that those things occurred.
It's a logical fallacy where someone rejects or accepts an argument based solely on its origin or source. And so the thing is that the origin and source, and in this particular case, you're saying, wait a second, look at these particulars, and these particular people did bad things, and so therefore Christian ethics itself is in question. That seems silly. It's not actually attacking Christian ethics. You're just attacking bad things a person did and then saying somehow this relates to Christian ethics. That is quintessentially a genetic fallacy for sure. Now, if you put it in question form, I can still accept it and I'll still answer to the question, even accepting the genetic fallacy, which is like, so what? There's laws in Kentucky that you can't, I believe you can't shoot rabbits from a trolley cart. I disagree with that law too. I think it's pretty stupid. For one thing, I want to shoot rabbit. I want to shoot rabbits from a trolley cart. That's one. But the other thing is that I would not, if I were to say to you, secular ethics were bad. Now, if I were to say they were bad because I can't shoot rabbits from a trolley cart, and you disagree, therefore secular ethics bad, you would reject that, right? And rightfully so.
I'm not sure. I didn't follow the very end there that bad or that much.
Yeah, if I said
But
to you,
I actually-
this law bad, and person did bad thing based on this law, and then use the justification, we don't shoot rabbits from trolley carts because we're secularists, and then I applied that to all secularists, that would be the same fallacy that you're engaging in.
So genetic fallacy was already defined. This is just eating up time at this point.
Sure. So I actually think that you'll see that I'm not really doing that, but I have to kind of evolve the conversation. So we can both agree that that's wrong. And I would argue that you would probably say that what those people's positions was wrong from a Christian ethical position.
Sure.
I would wager at least. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So next question would be, do you think that the positions today that the majority of Christians have are all correct? Or do you think that future Christians will look back at today and condemn certain positions that Christians hold?
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to make sure I got this right. So I'm just going to steel man this to make sure I have it correct, and then you can tell me yes or no before I answer. And again, you can reclaim your time. I just want to make sure I get it right. So the question is, has Christian ethics evolved? And will Christian ethics continue to evolve so people will look back now and say, hey, we got this wrong? Is that correct?
In a way, yeah.
Okay, well then the answer is most assuredly yes. There's going to be all sorts of groups that we're going to point to in the future and say they got Christian ethics wrong, for sure.
Okay, so I think we kind of already answered, or you kind of already answered this, but what is it that you appeal to condemn those things I brought up earlier?
Well, I don't know. At this point, I need to understand how this is pertinent to Christians shouldn't be in government. I need to actually understand that, because now you're getting in. You started by saying you don't want to get into a normative framework, and now you're bringing it to a normative framework, which I don't understand.
I don't think I never said that. I said I don't want to get into a moral.
That's a normative framework.
Morals?
Yeah, ought. Those are ought claims, right? You should or should not do. That's normative.
I draw a distinction between morality and normative.
Well, I don't
ones
understand.
because-
Well, how? If you say something is moral, you ought do what's moral, right? That's normative.
No, I don't think you can derive an ought from an is, but in normative, we can say that.
Well, how do you
I
what?
discussed this.
Hang on. Help me out with this real quick. Just
but
very
Andrew,
very
I'm not being
briefly. You can
interrogated
reclaim the time.
right
Reclaim
now,
the
but I
time.
can-
I just need to
Well,
clarify.
I am
I
reclaiming the
just
time,
need to
but I'm
clarify
going to
this.
answer your question.
I just need to clarify. That's all I'm asking, is for clarification. How can you describe a thing as being moral without an ought? I don't even understand that.
That's
I
a good
can ju-
question for the cross exam.
No, I need
Yeah,
that clarified
and I
now,
can-
or I can't. I don't even know what he's asking me. So just
I
just
understand-
clarify it quickly.
I understand that moral systems are systems of prescriptions or whatever for taboos or claims of what you should do, like should or should not.
Yeah, so normative.
But like in a way, but I don't. But well, no, because it's not. I don't think it's the same thing as normative, because again, like what I was talking about earlier in my opening statement was, I can tell you that a compass is better at drawing a straight, or as I'm sorry, a ruler is better at drawing a straight line than a compass.
Yeah, those are descriptive.
I'm not telling you it's
Yeah,
morally
that's
wrong
yeah,
to
yeah,
draw
yeah. I agree.
circles,
That's all
or morally
descriptive.
wrong to draw bad
Yeah,
straight
correct.
lines.
That's
or that you
descriptive, but
should
that's
do either.
descriptive though. So you're making a descriptive claim. This, when you say better, you're not making a normative claim. You're not saying you ought to make a better straight line. You're just saying if this does make a better straight line. It's still descriptive. But when you're talking about how should Christians, how ought Christians do X, then those are normative. That's a normative framework that you're diving into. You're talking about oughts then. So when you're talking about descriptors, when you're saying, hey, a ruler does make a better straight line than a compass, right? That is not you should make better straight lines with rulers.
I know.
These are distinct. So when you're getting into normative claims, though, right, I need you to tell me how this ties into the topic of whether or not Christians shouldn't be in government, because that's your claim.
I'm pointing out I'm going to get there very soon, and I'm going to do that by pointing out a contradiction. Taco, I have 5 minutes. Is my time paused or not?
I've added 7 minutes so far. There's a lot of
Okay.
time
Yeah.
being taken over for
Yep. I understand.
questions.
Well, you
and
can't give
whatnot,
him
yep.
time back. You can't give him time back for me answering questions. You can just give him time back for me clarifying them. That's what's fair.
Yeah, but I think we're now done. With the
I've been very fair with it.
clarification
It's
time.
been more than 7 minutes.
All right,
I'm-
go
Oh,
ahead.
this is Peterson's cross exam.
That's fine. And
Is it Taco?
Andrew,
I
you're
didn't know
fine,
that.
so.
I didn't know that, Taco.
So here's where I think the problem lies in. You're appealing to a Christian ethic to condemn what those people did in the past. I asked you about that earlier. You said yes. But that's going to happen in the future to positions that Christians hold today.
So
I don't understand how you can use the Bible or Christian ethics, because people in the future will judge you or other Christians to be wrong using Christian ethics.
yeah, but can you imagine?
I think that's the contradiction.
Like here, well, first of all, there's no contradiction, right? A contradiction is a proposition in its negation. There's no negation of any proposition that you've made. All you've said is that
Yes, there is.
no,
Because-
no. What you've said is
because you're going to hold on. You're going to argue these are the things we should do. These are the things we shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what slave traders and segregationists said in the past,
So what?
appealing to
that's
Christianity.
a genetic fallacy again.
But you appeal to Christianity to say that they're
Yeah, but what's
false.
my proposition and
But
its
your
negation?
ethic will
What-
be Christianity.
Okay, listen, so that you understand. The proposition its negation has to be mine in order for there to be a contradiction. You're saying that Christianity contradicts itself. You have to give me the proposition Christianity gives, and then its negation in order to demonstrate the contradiction. What you're doing is you're giving particulars and saying because people make the self-ID claim of X, therefore this system is flawed. Now, if somebody did that back, you would never accept it in a million years. So if somebody were to say, well, this secularist in communist Russia, which was a secular nation, did the whole Holodomor, therefore all secular ethics are bad, you'd never accept that in a million years, right? Because it's silly. It makes no sense.
Well, I believe in moral progress. Well, not really moral progress, I guess, but I don't know what else to call it. But if you believe that you have an objective and unchanging ethic, then to say yes, and the ethic evolves over time, to me, that screams that you're appealing to something outside of Christianity.
Hang on, you're
claiming
right.
that
Hang on. I'm going to give you some charity.
No, Andrew,
here.
this is actually, I
Okay, go
only
ahead.
need 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
You're claiming that it's grounded in Christianity, but everybody at every instance has done that, and they use that logic to claim that the other person's ethic was wrong, and that's what I think the contradiction is.
Yeah, that makes no sense, though, because all you're saying is that a person can self-ID with a particular, and therefore everything will be applied to the particular, even if people don't follow the particular ethic. When you're talking about the shared value of Christendom, especially in Eastern Orthodoxy, or here, I'll give you a better example. So fascism is what really allowed for essentially interracial marriage. That was not a thing which was done until basically the Catholic Church in Italy allowed that to begin. Before that, all of human history was basically against any sort of miscegenation. And it doesn't matter what people group you're talking about, they were essentially against miscegenation. And that's what makes it a genetic fallacy. What you're doing is you're taking the history of the time period and you're associating it to the laws of the land and the particulars of the time period, and then you're moving it forward and saying, well, wait, this is what Christian ethics was. It's not. It's not what Christian ethics was. And you can't point to individual...
But you have Christian ethics today?
We Christian ethics is
people.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain.
This is the no true Scotsman fallacy, which is implicit in the contradiction. You're sitting
it's
here
not
saying
a no true Scotsman
they weren't
fallacy.
Christians, whereas in the future this was just going to happen.
No, I didn't say they
again,
weren't
and they'll say the
Christians. I
same
said
thing
that
to you.
I didn't say
Yes,
they
you
weren't.
did.
Nope. I said they weren't.
Or you
Christian.
said that they weren't using Christian.
Nope.
ethics.
I said they violated them. So here's the thing.
Well, same difference.
No, it's not the same difference. When you use a no true Scotsman, I'll explain so that you understand. When you use a no true Scotsman fallacy, you're misapplying it. If I were to say this group over here, they just weren't Christians and there's absent no justification, be a no true Scotsman fallacy. But if I say that a person follows or self-IDs an ethical framework and then doesn't follow the ethical framework itself, that's not a no true Scotsman fallacy. That's pointing to particulars in the ethical normative work and saying X person violated those ethics. And they can still self-ID as, in this case, the Scotsman, right? But that wouldn't be a no true Scotsman fallacy. Do you understand the difference there in the particulars?
Okay, there's 5 minutes left, and let's try to answer the remainder. I cannot speak. The remainder of the questions directly and concisely.
Okay, I don't think there are 5 minutes left because my timer was just about to run out. Because Andrew did say, like, hey, I'm taking over, but he can reclaim his time. But I started my stopwatch at different
I
times.
added 7 minutes in total.
Well, I think you're going to end up giving me too much time. Like, I'm going to try to be fair. I'm going to address what you said, Andrew, and then I had a bunch of questions, but there's only one more I want to ask because I don't want to take up a huge amount of time. That would look unfair. But you lost me on the no true Scotsman thing there because the issue I'm having here is you're saying that the people in the past, they violated the Christian ethic, but that's what people in the future are going to say about Christians today, and the claims, like political or whatever, that they make, and they ground it in Christianity, and they'll say that there's the violation or that they violated it as well. That's what I think is the pernicious contradiction in all of this. So,
well, even if that fallacy, like even if I granted for a second, just for the sake of argument, that it was the no true Scotsman fallacy, it still actually wouldn't be a contradiction. There's still no proposition and its negation happening at the same time. Well, all that would happen is that you could point out that I made some sort of fallacious argument, like, oh, they weren't real Christians. However, the thing is like, if you follow any ideology on planet Earth, if you're a utilitarian, for instance, but you're not acting in a fashion which is utilitarian, you're not following the normative framework of utilitarianism, it's very easy for me to say, okay, UID is a utilitarian, but you're violating the ethical purviews of utilitarianism. That's not a no true Scotsman fallacy. It's an objective statement of truth.
That's a categorical imperative type of notion that I'm hearing there. I mean, anybody
it's
can
not an
fall
imperative.
short of.
That's not
anybody
Kantian
can fall
ethics.
short of. Anybody can fall short of what they claim they believe in. We do that all the time.
Yes.
But
Christianity actually adjusts for this inside of its normative
what you're
ethics.
doing in what your belief is.
So yeah, you understand Christianity actually has an adjustment for this. The idea of you shall know them by their fruits. So essentially, we can tell when people are violating Christian ethics, and our duty is to bring them back to the fold of Christianity. So when you point to just a particular of a violation of Christian ethics, that does not mean that this is on the back of Christianity. That would be a no true Scotsman fallacy. So if you're trying to say because Christians did this, and the Christian here, are saying, well, wait, they aren't real, you would actually be making that fallacy. So the thing is, like, to back it up, just so you understand, if you violate your ethical purview with self-ID, that's not a no true Scotsman fallacy for me to explain that inside of the religious purview, in this case Christianity, We know them by their fruits. That's what we know them by. And we have the particulars in order to make those judgments.
The problem there is, I'll say this and I'll just move on to the last thing. You're kind of, I don't know if I would call it begging the question or whatever, but you're telling them they violated, but you're ascribing your ethic onto them and saying they violated it, instead of understanding that according to them, this is the ethic.
So then as long as people groups at that time who are Christians also claim that they violated it, you would have no case? Does that even make sense to you?
I didn't catch that.
So if Christians at the time condemned that as being non-Christian behavior, then you wouldn't have an argument, right?
For that particular thing, but it's not as if
right.
There aren't
Except you still would.
Positions.
That's the problem, though. You still actually would have an argument for that particular thing. That's why the argument has no merit. It has no merit simply because you're pointing to.
I disagree.
You're pointing to a particular, and then you say, based on the particular, can we not look at our normative framework and see if people stepped outside of the particular? And it's like, yeah, of course we can. Of course, you do it all the time. Everybody does that normative framework. We have to. By the way, begging the question would be if you had a proposition, and then inside of the proposition, you put essentially what the conclusion was in the proposition itself, which is not what we're doing.
I know what begging the question here is. My last thing, though, is there anything that only a Christian is capable of believing in besides like the specific claims about like the divinity of Christ?
I don't actually understand this question. So pretend I'm a fifth grader and you're asking it to me so that I understand it.
That's time, although you can...
No. Let him finish his question.
Yeah, this is the last thing. I'm not really sure how to simplify it really, but is there I'll just ask it again. Is there anything that only a Christian is capable of believing in?
Only a Christian is capable of believing in. I mean, I don't think so. I guess if I understand what your question is, can anybody believe in anything? Is that the correct way to maybe rephrase that? No.
I'm specifically trying to get at, is Christianity privileged? And my time is up, so I'll just end with the point I'm trying to make here. And you say no. I think the answer is no as well. And then I think that's kind of devastating for, Christianity doesn't. We don't need it in government, because if anybody's capable of believing whatever it is you're trying to get the government to do, then anybody can believe it, and it's not sourced via Christianity.
That's a very confusing argument to me as well, and I would love to dissect it, and I guess I can in a second with my cross-examination. But I'm just trying to understand. I guess I would need more clarity to even understand what you were asking. But anyway, if you're ready for the cross-examination, I am too.
So we'll be moving into your cross-exam now. It'll be 30 minutes as well. If obviously, feel free to reclaim your time. If something's going on, you can ask questions, get back on topic. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll go ahead and start your timer. And once again, try to answer the questions directly and concisely.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm ready when you are, Mr. Peterson.
Perfect.
So I hope I answered your question satisfactory as I think I could. I hope you do the same for me. So, starting with this, do you have any problems with Christians being in government?
No, to the extent that a Christian holds because it's not should Christians be in government. It's Christianity.
I know. Just so none of these are going to be loaded, and none of these are going to be gotchas. I just want to make sure that I'm clarifying a couple things. First and foremost, just yes or no. Do you have any problems with Christians being in government?
No, because to the extent that a Christian holds beliefs and they act on them and whatever those beliefs are, to the extent that those beliefs overlap with the limits of government put in the Constitution, that's not a problem. I don't think it's a contradiction.
And inside of the Constitution, what can you explain very quickly what the process is for an amendment?
You need, I don't remember the specific numbers. You need 3/4 of the states to ratify it. As far as Congress, I don't know if it's 2/3 or what.
Yeah. So there's multiple ways to make an amendment.
It has to be ratified by the states. for it to count. Because we famously had this recently. There's something Joe Biden was trying to get in there, some equal protections thing. And
You think 3/4 of the state came together for every amendment in the Constitution? Really?
I mean, historically, like weird things have happened. There didn't used to be primaries 100 years ago, but now we do have them.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to this. By the way, that's just factually inaccurate. But the thing is like that aside, we'll just leave that aside for a second. Let me just ask you, and I'm reclaiming my time on this. I'm kidding. Let me just ask you this. If Christians then, if you have no problem with them being in office, if there was such an overflow of the numbers because that was the representation that people wanted, they voted in Christians and they made an amendment to, like, I don't know, get rid of the First Amendment, which they're completely well within their rights to do. What's the problem with that?
So our Constitution has a system where you can amend amendments, the 21st or 2nd, whatever, undid prohibition.
Well, no, you can just undo amendments altogether.
Yeah, with amendments. But
yeah,
I mean the problem with I think the problem with this is that wouldn't be if you amend the First Amendment, then I can just say, well, then we can just re-amend it because it was wrong of them to amend it in the first place. So
Sure. Yeah, you could re-amend it after you get power back. But if Christians actually have power, what is your actual argument against them amending the First Amendment, which is prescribed in the Constitution that they can do?
I don't have an argument that they can't do it. The First Amendment says that is something that can be done.
Should they not be able to do that?
Well, it's kind of weird because we have an establishment clause. So if they did that,
well, yeah, I mean, but we used to have a slavery clause, right?
Then it would be.
But hang on, Mr. Peterson, we used to have a slavery clause, right? And we amended that.
You used to have a slavery clause?
Yeah, we used to be able to own slaves. That was yes.
That's not no, none of the first 12 amendments said you can own slaves.
Okay.
That's completely false.
I'm sorry.
And
hang
actually,
on. Back up. Hang on. Stop. It's not your cross-examination here. Okay. Just so that you know, though, you do realize that there were state constitutions which said you can own slaves, right?
Before secession happened?
Mm-hmm.
It specifically said that they could own slaves? Okay.
Yeah, specifically. And also, you do realize there was a 3/5 clause, right?
Yeah, black people counted as 3/5 of a person.
So all those things need to be amended, right?
Well, if the Constitution gets changed, then that becomes federal law, and then it supersedes the state Constitution.
Right. So
I think it would be wrong because I think that's a violation of what the First Amendment says.
Yeah, but wait, that's circular. The Constitution is set up so that we can amend amendments, yes or no?
Yeah.
So if it is the case that it's set up for us to do that, if Christians have power, and you have no problem with Christians having power, and they amend that amendment, what's the problem?
Because the framers of the Constitution set up the ability to amend the Constitution with respect to being able to produce a more better union, or however they say it.
Yeah, but who are you to determine what's better? Who are you to determine that? Wouldn't it be the people who are elected? You want people to be elected by their constituency, yes or no?
Well, yeah.
Okay, and if the people who are elected by their constituency are Christians, you have no problem with that, yes or no?
No.
So then if those people who are elected by their constituency want to amend the First Amendment, that is the process that you want to be allowed to happen, right?
No, because you didn't let me. You didn't let me finish my answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, because the framers of the Constitution, they built that system, and there are people that said we don't want a Bill of Rights. That was the first election. One of the biggest issues up for that, because we didn't have a Bill of Rights at first, but they did that in order to. They thought that was their way that in the future they'd be able to keep having a more functional, a better union, a better constitution, a better government. but they initially said no, no state government, because that will.
Well,
that
I don't know.
creates
So,
dysfunctional
that's very
government.
undemocratic.
So it would be in violation.
Mr.
of
Peterson,
what
that's
the purpose
undemocratic.
of the
Do you
amendment
agree
was
with
in the
me that
first
that's
place.
not democratic? For you to say that we cannot change the First Amendment by democratic means, that's actually undemocratic, correct?
No, I don't think so.
What I don't understand. Is the capacity there for us to do it? Is it written into the
Yeah.
Constitution that we can do this? And you don't have a problem
Yeah.
with Christians being elected by their constituency.
No.
So what is your actual problem with Christians changing this if it's within the very system that you want them to change it in? Representing the constituency, all these people get together and they amend the First Amendment. That is the system that you want, right?
I don't want them to. The idea that amendments can be made means that I have to accept that the First Amendment should be amended. Is not a
No,
real
no, no,
case.
no, no. You don't have the should. You have the shouldn't. I want to know why it is that Christians shouldn't do that, other than because you don't like it.
Of a
It
constitutional
doesn't sound
republic.
like it. It sounds
And
like the
we know-
purpose of a
we know that-
constitution. No, it doesn't sound
Yeah,
like
but-
it. Well, hang on.
Yeah, but
How would
Andrew,
it violate the purpose of a constitutional republic if this is the framework of the constitutional republic, sir?
Because a government is supposed to outline a constitutional republic, sets limitations, and like there are other things that like it allows.
Yes,
for,
I
or
agree.
whatever.
The constitutional
That
republic
makes
sets limitations, and in these limitations, it says that system you
amend it
want, dude.
to trash. No, because you're not supposed to make amendments to make the system dysfunctional. It's like saying, "Hey, I
You
own an
can't-
engine,
well,
right?
what would
Yeah?
be- hang on,
and
hang
I
on.
want to win the
Hang on,
Daytona
wait a second.
500, right?
What would be
Yeah? Okay, well, I'm
dysfunctional?
going to bunch of
Why would that
dump a
be
bunch of nails
dysfunctional?
into my engine.
Wait, stop,
You're not
stop.
going to win the Daytona 500.
What makes
you
that?
Can't tell me I can't.
I'm going to reclaim my
This is
time.
silly.
What makes
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
What makes that dysfunctional? What makes it dysfunctional if they got rid of the First Amendment when we have countries, by the way, which I just cited in my opening, that don't have this separation. In fact, England, they have a state church as well. Many functional. It seems like it would function just fine. The states could then ratify the amendments of their own for their own state religions. They can do that. They practically do now, like Utah. Utah's basically Mormon. Whether you like it or not, it basically is. What would actually make it dysfunctional?
So, like, you can cherry pick those countries if you want, but we have studies. High religiosity and societal dysfunction in the United States during the first decade of the
Yeah.
21st century.
Back up.
And
very
I have
quickly.
a global study.
I
as
only
well.
have so much time. I agree with you. You have studies, right, that say that religiosity makes you dysfunctional. How come you don't quote the studies that say high IQ make you dysfunctional? Should we start selecting for people who have a high IQ because it makes them more dysfunctional? Because it does. The higher your IQ, the more dysfunctional you get. You want studies on it? I have them in the boatloads. That's why you see people who have all sorts of issues when it comes to social behavior. The higher their IQ is, makes you totally dysfunctional. Do you want to outlaw that? No high IQ people in office?
You mean low IQ? Wow.
You have a
That's
really
bizarre.
really is it bizarre? The
That sounds
suicidality
pretty bizarre.
the suicidality goes up. There's tons of reasons
Wow.
you become dysfunctional. Yes. Do you want studies? I'll give them to you happily. If you have a really high IQ, you actually become more socially dysfunctional. That is the case. Why do you think they commit suicide at such high rates? Not only that,
So the
but
coun-
hang on, it's my turn, bro. My turn.
I know, but you kind of asked me. a
yeah,
question.
and I
was gonna
well,
answer,
hang on.
but it's your time.
I'm just how the nation itself would become dysfunctional because we amended the First Amendment, because the constituency sent up Christians and they did that. You have to tell me how that would actually make the nation dysfunctional.
If you're asking me to tell you what if this happened, what would specifically be the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing that would happen? I mean, I can't tell you a story of something.
Claim up.
No, I have studies.
No,
that
you
can
have
back
studies that
claim
say
up
that
high religiosity. Well, I mean, Andrew, you know that the
let's
Bible Belt is
hang
also
on, bro.
the
Don't
teen
ask me
pregnancy
questions.
belt,
It's my
the
turn.
STD
It's my
belt.
turn, bro. It's my turn.
It wasn't
And
really
not only that, let's just point out that also secularism has of trouble with reproduction. Don't you think that it's dysfunctional if you're not reproducing? That's one. And two, you still have not demonstrated. Don't address it. I'm making a statement. It's my cross-examination. You have people used your system, the one that you want, to make amendments, like if the system says you can, based on their religiosity, to get rid of the First Amendment. You have not demonstrated that that would make the system dysfunctional, only claimed it, demonstrated.
So I'll talk about the low birth rates and then I'll do that.
No, don't. I don't want to hear about low birth rates. It wasn't a question I asked. It was a statement I made. Answer the question I asked you.
That seems
Answer the question
unfair.
I asked you.
But you brought it
Answer
up.
the question I
feel
asked
need to
you.
address it.
You can address it when you get back to your time.
Okay. The second thing. Sorry, what was the second thing?
Yeah, I will just do this very quickly. Okay, just so that you very quickly. I got to reclaim my time. So, the question I'm asking you, you need to be you. I mean, you have to demonstrate that it would actually be dysfunctional. That's your claim. You know, I don't want to hear about demonstrations that religiosity can lead some people to become more dysfunctional. I would need to know how the nation itself is going to become dysfunctional. The part in the First Amendment that says that Congress has to respect every establishment of religion. I need to know how does that make the nation actually dysfunctional to get rid of the establishment clause?
The studies I was referring to, they weren't talking about like it wasn't about individuals. It's about the country as a whole. One does it by a state basis. The other does it was a more national study. But for example, I mean, I can prove that even according to you, there seems like some pretty damning information because I'm pretty sure that low life
you haven't shown how any of those things. You haven't shown how any of those things would suddenly go boom because you got rid of the establishment clause. Like, for instance, I'll explain. I'll explain the contradiction. I'll explain the contradiction in terms real quick. Even if it were the case that right this second, okay, religious people, it was correlated with teen pregnancy and all of these different things. These people are free to exercise that religion now. So wouldn't it be the case if they weren't free to exercise that?
I don't know what that could possibly have been an argument for, because what you find is all those things I brought up are highest among the most religious states. So the more religious you are, the more in this country, the more teen pregnancy.
Yes,
you have,
but if Congress doesn't have to respect
STDs.
the establishment of religion anymore, right? They can say that you can't practice unhealthy religions, can't they?
What?
Answer my question. Couldn't they say that? Do you want me to ask the question again? If Congress did not have to respect the establishment of religion anymore, then unhealthy religions, right, or religions they deem to be unhealthy for the nation.
You're advocating for banning
I didn't
Christianity.
advocate for anything. When did I make any advocation for anything ever?
I'm
asking when was that an advocation? I'm asking you simple questions about your worldview. Do you know what the difference is?
Yes, I do.
Great. So then, where was there ever an advocacy for X from me? Nowhere.
Okay,
you fucking made it up. So establishment clause was gone. Couldn't Congress then not respect religions which were unhealthy for the society? Can you answer my question, dude?
It's such a bizarre question that doesn't make any sense.
Oh my
'cause the
God! What
Establishment
is
Clause-
what
the
is bizarre?
Establishment Clause doesn't ban religions. It says that Congress will not make a state religion. It doesn't say that Congress doesn't have the ability to ban religion. It says that
thereof. You are wrong, sir. So yes, if you got rid of the Establishment Clause, the free exercise thereof would be gone. So
no,
yes, yes,
no,
yes.
no, the Establishment Clause is not the same thing as you are allowed to practice your
yes,
religion.
it is. It says the free
It's absolutely
exercise
not.
thereof. I'll read it for you, sir. Here, we'll read it. Because apparently you don't even know what it says. Okay. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Do you could prohibit the free exercise thereof, correct?
Sure. So we would get
Okay,
rid of
great. Oh,
Christianity,
wow, you
which
just
is
answered
the
a fucking
STD
question.
religion
Can
in
we
this
get you a
country.
medal for actually answering the question? So, yes, it is indeed the
Jeez, dude,
case.
calm down.
It is indeed. Well, dude, I have to pull the answers out of you because you don't want to answer them. This is what I was talking about by bad faith. So, real quick,
not bad faith.
it's bad faith. Just answer the questions, dude. So, then it is the case that if Congress then no longer had to respect behaviors of bad religions, couldn't they?
Yeah, which would be Christianity.
Okay, so do you think that there's any other religions in the United States which are worse than Christianity?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so then if Christians were in power and stopped the free exercise thereof of those religions, wouldn't that be good?
No, I don't think that would be good.
Oh, okay, so then when you say shouldn't, Christians shouldn't be in power, right? You're
Never said that.
That's your whole claim. Your whole claim is that
No, it's that
Christianity shouldn't be in
Christianity
government. We're saying the same
Christianity
thing.
shouldn't be in
You
power.
think? You
No,
think? What's the
no, we're
semantic
absolutely
distinction?
not.
What's the semantic distinction?
Because what you're talking about, Christians shouldn't be in government, means banning people that practice a certain religion from serving in government. I don't believe in that.
No.
It's them
The semantic
imposing
distinction
their-
between power and government. Clearly, if Christians have governmental authority, they have power. Like we're talking about the same thing. We're not talking. If it is the case that Christians shouldn't be in government, but if Christians were,
That's not my claim.
Your claim isn't that okay? Christianity shouldn't be in government.
Yes.
Okay. So wait a second. So if Christians are in government, Christianity is not in government?
I address this earlier because I said if a Christian serves in government and their beliefs overlap with the current structure of the Constitution or whatever, then there's no problem with that because the establishment opposite of all religions.
Okay,
because,
then help me. Okay, bro. So anytime Christians then who utilize their normative ethical authority for things like abortion in government, that's wrong? They shouldn't do that?
If they're imposing their specific religious beliefs on other people, then that's a violation of, I think that creates dysfunctional governments. That's a violation of the that creates dysfunctional governments.
Yeah. Hang on. No. This doesn't make, bro. You got to back way. Okay, we got to back way up.
Real fast, just under 10 minutes remaining. I did add about
great.
a minute and a half for clarification.
Okay, so just very quickly, Mr. Peterson, if the Supreme Court justices are Catholic, and a lot of them are now, and they're interpreting the law, right? They're also using part of their interpretation is going to be their Christian normative ethical framework. Do you actually have a problem with that?
So if I had a problem with that would mean that I would just have to ban Christianity, but that doesn't actually make any sense. A Christian, we went over this earlier, anybody can believe whatever a Christian believes at the same time. So we can't just ban them from serving in government. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Then your whole proposition's destroyed. If the idea ethics, then you don't have a claim. Your claim's destroyed. Listen, I'll give it to you in premises. I'm going to give it to you in premises so that you understand, right? Christians should be allowed in government. True or false?
True.
Christians in government should be allowed to reference their normative framework when making decisions in a governmental role. True or false?
Not exactly true.
What does that mean?
Because they can believe in things everybody else in general, and that can happen to be something Christians believe in. They're not the only ones that believe in
but they can amend the
Rule,
Constitution. They can just amend the Constitution. And then if they do amend the Constitution, they can, any of their normative framework, they followed your entire law. Exactly. Right?
Yep.
So then why shouldn't they be allowed to do that?
First of all, because as I've said a whole bunch of times, I think it creates dysfunctional governments, but this would also lead to potentially Andrew Wilson being subject to what reject that. So according to Andrew Wilson doesn't want this to happen.
What are you what kind of weird straw man nonsense is this? According to Andrew Wilson, he doesn't want the Pope. And what the fuck are you talking? We're talking about you and your view, not Andrew Wilson's. You had a chance to grill Andrew Wilson's view. Your view, sir, is that it's perfectly acceptable for Christians to change the Constitution if they are elected by their constituency. Yes or no? Change the Constitution in order to allow Christian stuff, whatever you think that is. How can you possibly say that they shouldn't be able to do that when this is the proposition itself? That they shouldn't be in government, yet they should be allowed to go in and change every facet of government. That, sir, is its proposition and its negation, an actual contradiction. It's a totally functional government, dude. Totally functional. What do you mean? It's following your rules. Christian go in, they change it via an amendment, and then they rule based on the changed amendments, which is exactly what you claim we should be doing.
It's like calling fascism a functional government. It was
a functional government.
Enacted? That doesn't mean that I accept it or that I think it's
good. But your whole claim here is like, it's dysfunctional to not allow Christians to serve in government. If Christians go into the government and serve and then amend the Constitution, which they're allowed to do because they're in government, and then change it to make a bunch of whatever Christian stuff legal that you don't like, right? They're literally following your very process. So your proposition is Christianity shouldn't be in government. But its negation is, yes, Christians should be in government and should be allowed to change the amendments in government so that, yes, they should be in government if they're elected?
No, I'm just disagreeing with. I know where this is going already. That's where I'm.
It's your proposition and its negation, and I'll just give it to you again. And I really do need a response to this. The proposition is Christianity shouldn't be in government. Its negation is, okay, Christians should be allowed in government, and they should be allowed to change anything they want in government as long as they're following the rules that are there. And then when they change the rules, you don't have a problem with that because that's the form of government.
I do have a problem with that.
What's the problem?
Just because it can be done, like we have open elections, so it's theoretically possible that a Nazi could be elected president. That doesn't mean that I have to accept that should happen or that it's good that it would happen.
No.
The other
Shouldn't.
thing with
Wait,
this,
are you saying Nazis shouldn't be allowed in government?
technically, I don't think that is illegal or anything.
Yeah, right. So if they shouldn't, so you're saying Nazis should be allowed in government.
That doesn't mean I think that they should be. It's like free speech.
I'm not
I think
asking
people
if you think
should be
Nazis.
able to.
I didn't ask if Nazis should be allowed in government. I asked you I'm sorry. I asked you this question specifically. Should Nazis be allowed to be in government? Allowed.
So this is, I'm not trying to give you a Weasley answer, but it's like free speech. I don't think it's good. I don't like it when the government says these
Be allowed to serve in government, yes or no?
No,
No.
but I don't think that it should be illegal for a Nazi to be in the government. That's the difference.
So they should be allowed to serve in government.
If you
So
frame
one
it
more
that way,
time.
yeah.
Should Nazis be allowed to serve in
Answer.
government? Yes or no?
In that framing,
Okay, so
then
real quick,
yes,
I'm going to
I don't
ask
think
you
it
again.
should be
I need it
illegal.
specifically answered. Should Nazis be allowed to serve in government? Yes or no?
It shouldn't be illegal. So yeah.
Hang on, I just want to make sure. Hang on. No. I'm not trying to, bro. I'm not trying to clip it. I'm just trying to show you that if it's the case, then that Nazis who should be allowed to be in government go into the government and then change all the shit in the government to make it all Nazified, they should be allowed to do that, right? Because they're following the process of government, right?
Again, this is odd because it's like can versus
No, should.
I think it would be
No.
wrong.
If you say Nazis should be allowed in government, then they should be allowed to do their job in government, right?
If they should be, then they should. Again, that doesn't mean that I accept whatever
Can you
amendments they
just
would do
answer
and
my
that they are
question?
good.
I'm not asking you for qualifiers. I'm not interested. I just want you to actually answer the questions I ask. Should Nazis, if they're in government, do their job? Should they do their job that they were put there to
yeah.
do? The job of changing the amendments to make it more Nazi-ish, they should do that, right?
No.
No. Why not? I don't understand. I
Because
honestly
you can
don't. I don't
amend
get
an
this now.
amendment
Now
doesn't
I'm
mean that you
super fucking
should amend
confused.
an amendment.
So let me get this right. I'm not asking for the normative ought of whether or not you think the amendment's good or bad. That's not. I don't care if you think the amendment good or amendment bad. Only if you think that Nazis should be allowed to change the amendments to make shit more Nazi. Should they be allowed to do that? If a bunch. So in other words, if
Not if you want a functional government.
if 2/3 of okay, and they said, hey, we want a new amendment that says there's going to be a new Third Reich, right? Somewhere. I don't know how they phrase it, okay? They should be allowed to follow the process of government. Not, is the amendment good or bad? I'm not asking that should claim. Only should they be allowed to do that based on the prescription of the government that you advocate for?
I guess technically, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying you endorse it. Listen,
Yeah, I know.
so
There's
often.
a minute and a half remaining.
Okay, very quickly. Then this same logic would apply to Christianity. Should Christians be allowed to serve in government? Yes. Should, if they're there, should they do their job based on what their constituency wants? Yes. And if they follow all of the laws in order to make Christian stuff, they should be allowed to do that. Also, yes. The proposition is now negated. This is a performative contradiction you've been caught in because when you say Christianity shouldn't be in government, negated your own proposition.
I just don't agree on that at all.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, logic disagrees
Because
with you.
the reasons that I stated Christianity shouldn't be in government are because that would make it. It could potentially, or could whatever. It doesn't matter. Lead to a more dysfunctional government, one that disenfranchises.
Let me ask you one
people.
last question. Just one last question, very quickly. Should pedophiles
Which
be
is all
allowed in
questions.
government?
No, I don't think so. I think there are certain things because that's a felony, I believe. So no, I don't think felonies.
They didn't get
should
a
be in
felony. No,
government.
no. They did it when they were like, I don't know, just under the legal age or something. Like 2 days before the legal age, right? And it wasn't a felony for whatever reason, right? They got away with a misdemeanor. Should they be allowed to serve in government?
Are you talking about
It's
a
time,
pedophile
but
or
you can
somebody
finish
who
up
got a
here.
Yeah,
misdemeanor?
pedophile. Just let him answer this last question like I did him the service of doing. Should
of course.
pedophiles who are only convicted of misdemeanors be allowed to serve in government? In
don't
fact,
think
here's a children, but if never actually acted on it, should those pedophiles be allowed in government?
Sounds like a bad idea.
So no, they shouldn't be?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. So then we'll just follow the law when you want to follow the law and then not follow it when you don't want to follow it. All right. Fair enough. All right.
You
I'm
didn't
good.
ask me if. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I
So
asked you if they should be allowed to be in government. Should they be allowed to be in government? You can reframe the answer. Should pedophiles be allowed to be in government?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then you're just only applying the law when you choose to apply the law. Thank you.
Okay, so with the question and answers, what we'll be doing is we'll be going through questions. I got a list of questions on the YouTube. We'll go through that. Also, if you are not on the server yet, join discord.gg/politics. Once again, discord.gg/politics. And you can join the live chat and actually raise your hand and engage with them with a live question. Taking more than that, we can just go by ear, and then we'll move into the conclusion.
Well, very
After that,
quickly, Taco. I did want to say very quickly. I know that was a very aggressive cross-examination, but I don't hold any bad feelings towards you, man. Right? This is a debate. My job's to represent my worldview the best that I possibly can, and so yeah, I'm always aggressive in cross-examination, but no hard feelings there.
No, I mean that was by far the chill.
Yeah,
No,
It was fine.
go ahead.
At least that I've ever seen.
cool. And once again, that's discord.gg/politics. Do you guys have any questions about how we're going to do the question and answer? If not, I'll just go over the basics with it. No? Cool. So the program here, we're going to pull people up. You guys will get a question. If you need to clarify something, that's fine. There's a lot of people that have questions, so let's try not to ask 4 questions back to back. If you want to raise your hand again later, you're welcome to. Until whenever.
Well, I have another place I got to actually be in about 15 minutes. This went a little over what I thought I'd be, but
Okay.
but I'm happy to stay and answer a few questions anyway.
Gotcha. So
Sorry,
if
I'm
you only have
prepping for
15 minutes.
I'm preparing for a trip. I'm heading out soon, so
That's fine. You can give him
Gotcha.
all the do all the Andrew questions. I'll sit here.
So
and
I
just
think it
shut
would be
up.
better to move into the conclusions then, and then we'll do that was ideally going to give you some ammo for. If you want to stick around, Eric, you can answer some questions as well. But at least that way we'll get you where you need to be on time, right? Does
I
that sound good to both of y'all?
yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for giving me a little bit of leeway. I did very much enjoy the debate.
Yeah, and there was a lot of clarifying in the first one, so I wanted to make sure that we were addressing everything appropriately, right? But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move into the conclusions then. The affirmative is going to go first. So Planet Peterson, that's going to be you. And then Andrew, you'll do your conclusion after. You'll have 5 answer some questions as well.
Sure. There are so many things that I thought we would get into that we didn't end up getting into, and that's every debate I've ever had is kind of like that. But I think the main issue I have with the position that Christianity should be in government would come from the things I laid out before, whereas the Christian ethic is completely nebulous, and Christians across we should or shouldn't do. Like I brought her up earlier, but the bishop that spoke at Trump's inauguration, that's one kind of Christian ethic. Nick Fuentes has a radically different Christian ethic. And so because of all the contradictions, and then the temporal thing where Christians in the 20th century condemned Christians in the 19th century, but will in turn be condemned by Christians of the 21st century based on Christian descriptions or whatever you want to give, I think ultimately are coming from something other than Christianity.
What kind of bullshit is this?
And
look at
the
these
other
fucking
thing,
donos.
Touch on
Look at this.
I don't know, maybe just like one thing that
Look
I
at all
thought
this,
would get
all this
brought up just to
content.
kind of
$197.
make a case on
I'm
it or
not,
whatever, but
dude. I'm
I
not
thought maybe
debating
we'd
for this
be
kind
talking
of
about
grift.
birth rates or something.
There needs
like
to be
that.
better grifts.
But I think all these appeals
There needs to be
fall
better
short
grifts,
because
okay?
what these typically are
Better get that
is
grift
arguments
going.
about, look, Christians in the world or in the population are like having more children, which is better. Well, we don't need Christianity in our country. The Christians just happen to have more kids. Okay, you can be a Christian in this country. There's no mandate for be fruitful and multiply that needs to go
it's time
into
for
the
the grift,
government, that
okay?
needs to be
Time for
amended
the
into
fucking
the
grift.
Constitution for that. So you don't need Christianity in government. So I just think
It's
the
time
case
for the
is
fucking grift, okay?
kind of weak, but that's just what I think. So that's my closing statement.
Perfect. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll start your timer.
Yeah, so I'm ready. Caught Mr. Peterson in a contradiction. So the proposition was Christians or Christianity shouldn't be in government. But we figure out very quickly that not only are Christians should be allowed to serve in government, but they should be allowed to follow the processes of government in order to change government to make it all Christian if they want to. They should be allowed to do that. So him saying Christianity shouldn't be allowed in government is actually negate. His own proposition gets negated by him the second he tells you that within the framework of this government, he has no problem with Christians making it a Christian government. That negates thing I've ever seen in my life. Not only that, there was a whole bunch of things that we touched on. Like, for instance, we went over the fact that, hey, there's other nations which have state churches. He says, well, religiosity leads to dysfunction. Well, I guess the happiest nation, Finland, then, must be real dysfunctionally happy, right? Must be really dysfunctionally happy since they have state churches. And now, to kind of give some leeway and credit to him, it does remind me of a great joke, which is, you know, but I just thought that was a, kind of a funny observation. But back to this, there was a ton of things. We got into the normative framework of ethics, which he brought up. I didn't even bring it up. I was keeping it on topic. I don't even think he understands what Christian ethics are, or that it's not a no true Scotsman fallacy at all. If you say, oh, those people violated this ethical purview, and here's why, based on A, B, and C, you saying that this person who self-IDs as the thing violates the actual values of the thing is not a no true Scotsman fallacy. It's wrong. We just say, well, look at what secularists do, right? It wouldn't make any sense at all. There would have to be, in utilitarian ethics, for instance, it would have to be, well, there's X amount of negative utils, and I believe in that, but I'm causing negative utils. Another person would easily point to that and say, well, then you're violating utilitarian ethics. It wouldn't be that, well, there's no true utilitarian, right? That wouldn't make any sense. It's not a no true Scotsman fallacy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There was a whole bunch of times, in fact, like, yeah, you got wrecked pretty bad. You did. I mean, you did. You got wrecked pretty bad on this one, man. And nope. I'm going to finish up with this. Remember, he also said Nazis should be allowed in government. Pedophiles should be allowed in government. all these people should be allowed in government, right? Christians should be allowed in government. And if any of these people make prescriptions to make the entire country more Nazi or more Christian or anything like it, it's totally fine with them. But for some reason, the government shouldn't be more blank, even though all of his blank. It just makes no sense. It's crazy. Anyway, with that, I'll cede my time.
Perfect. And so we'll go ahead and ask a few questions. There is. I'll avoid that one. So let's go ahead and pull some people up real fast. I'm gonna basically filter for Andrew questions initially. So D-Dan, I see you up first. You lowered your hand. We'll put you back in the queue.
It's not an Andrew question. You can put me back in the queue.
Perfect. Vince? Who's your question for? Oh, your mic isn't working.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is
Okay,
this
it was for
an
Andrew.
Andrew question? Perfect.
Okay. Well, pertaining to this debate, what was the topic of this debate? Because I got lost.
It was the
And that's
topic.
for Andrew.
Yeah.
That's for Andrew, and that's a positive question for Andrew because I didn't understand a thing that Mr. Planet was speaking about. But maybe that's just a biased question. But that's just that was my question.
Oh,
Because I got lost.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
wasn't 100% sure.
The topic was you should have been here early enough to figure out what the topic was. That was the.
Concept about the letting Nazis be in government versus like how would that be even close to allowing Christians to be working in government? Like, was that supposed to be?
We're just checking for consistency to say if you
Right, okay,
what would you allow,
that's what I
what
figured,
would you
that's-
allow? Yeah, just it was just a basic
Okay,
consistency
cool.
check. That's all.
No, loved it. That was
And he
awesome.
was consistent. I mean, he was consistent on that point. To be fair.
That's the craziest part. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, have a good one, man.
Thank you, Vince. Xanaman? Or Zanman? Is your
Yeah,
question
hello?
for Andrew?
Yeah, my question's for Andrew. I just want to say, fastest growing debate channel on YouTube. Shouts out. Have a good night.
All right, you too, man. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I watch you every day.
Well, glad to
Thanks,
have you
Mo.
over. Glad to have you over on the Crucible team. You have a great night.
You too, brother. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Zanman. Andrew?
Hello. Yes, this is for Andrew. Andrew, do you feel bad for your opponent after nights like this?
Nope, they deserve it.
All right. Good pick, guys.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you. Then
Come on,
I'll
he's being a
pull-
good sport. Like he's being a good sport. He's like laughing and chuckling and having. He's like trying to have a good time. Like you know.
If you can't laugh at yourself because you didn't even mean it, if you can't laugh at yourself, if you're that sanctimonious, then
Yeah.
just like
Then 8-bit, do you have any questions for Andrew? For a question? I can bring you back up. Looks like your mic's not working.
Well, look, I got the hard cut out basically at 11 here, guys. Debate very much. Taco, I think there's like 7,000 live on my end, and same to you, Mr. Peterson. If you guys want to go ahead and shout your channels out, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, mine's Planet Peterson, and I'm gonna keep streaming and take super chats. So Andrew, if your guys want to try to do their worst, they can come. They can come and check it out if they feel like it. But yeah, thanks for coming.
Well,
I know this all
let's do a
started-
round 2 with.
Possibly. I'm gonna be flying to South Dakota next week for a while.
Yeah, I mean, like next
Um,
month or something, you know.
I'm not against it. It's I can't think that far in the future. So.
Okay, man. Well, no problem. Taco, thank you for hosting. Why don't you shout your YouTube channel out too?
Sure. Well, first off, everybody should join discord.gg/politics. It's a great debate server.
Is
We were
Doobie
all
still in
excited.
charge over there?
Yeah, he's still the owner of it, and
Yeah.
we were all super
He
excited.
keeps
to have
on telling
both
me
of
he's
you
going to
here today.
retire. We're going to retire, bro. Just stop. Tell Doobie that Andrew Wilson said he's coping about retirement. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let him know. But yeah, no, we're all excited to have you here today, and it was a pleasure just having you on stage and in front of everybody. I'm sure everybody's super excited. I had tons of DMs ahead of time saying how awesome you were and excited to have you here. You have lots of fans here already, but everybody should join Discord.
Been in there a bunch. I'm personal friends with the owner of Politics, Doobie. He's a hell of a guy. Very, very smart. He can argue any end of any position. It's very annoying to me. But yeah, you should join over there. I'll get a link down too in the clips and stuff, man, to make sure people go over and visit Politics for you. And then what about your own channel though, Taco?
Yeah. And then I was going to get there. I just wanted to plug the server, right? But I'm building a neutral debate platform. I also do some atheist content as well. But I'm getting breakfast tacos atheist in the search bar, and it'll pull it up pretty easily. If you type in breakfast tacos, you'll just get a bunch of how to make breakfast taco videos. And yeah. Do you have time for one more, or do you have to go?
It's got to be very quick, man.
Cool. F-bomb is your question for Andrew?
Yeah, I just real quick, big fan, but also I wanted to ask you what your debate prep is like when you know that you're coming up on moderated debates like this.
So it's really funny because I prepped for this debate for weeks. Well, when we first knew, and yeah, I dove in, but I take every opponent seriously. I take every debate seriously. I don't underestimate anybody. That's how you get your ass kicked in a debate very quickly. So yeah, I mean, I dive in. And I watched a lot of Planet Peterson. I do like a lot of his. I like a lot of his style, especially when it comes to like let's say some positive things. Right? He has a certain style about him where he doesn't get ruffled very easily. He tends to beat. There's a lot, and he doesn't. Interestingly enough, I do think he gives way too much kind of credit to psychology, which annoys me. But other than that. Like for a secularist, he's all right as secularist goes. You know what I mean? I thought his arguments were kind of standard for secularist arguments across the board. I don't think he did too bad.
I lost my career because of cancel culture, which I'm against. So we should be frenemies.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of a frenemy more than I do an enemy. From the Crucible, we just don't do that. We might fuck with you during a live stream when we're debating, but like you'll never get harassment from this crew. So, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Thank you so much. With that, I'm going to get out of here. Have a good night, Taco.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great one.
Yeah, you too, man. Sorry, guys, I couldn't stay for too long of the Q&A. I have to do. Show I have to do tonight on Not One Step Back. Whew. And then I got to fly out to California, so I'm fucking loaded up, dude. I'm loaded up. But it was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun. But You're not showing it to me with your wallet, except Jess Gerald, who just sent in $100 super chat. Very kind of you. Let me check the donos real quick, too. Let me check the dono chat. Always got to check the dono, right? All right. Whole bunch came in on the dono side, guys. $10 comes in from Sons of Liberty. Here's 10, fuckface, Trump 2028. As long as the process of government is followed. Drinking Buddy for 20, appreciate that. $10 from CRS Scott, appreciate that. $5 from Anonymous, appreciate that. Big $150 comes in from Name Taken, says this grift is worth $150 of my dollars. I think it is. $20 from Simp No More, even though this pains me to enable your grift. You once slayed a dragon. In his Twin, keep it up. Will do. Thank you for the big hundo. 25 from Jess Millen. Thank you to you and your wife for giving us a great example to look to. Not a great examples to look to. I just think that I'm good at representing the worldview that I hold. $20 from Abe Troyer says you should be shunned for violating Amish ethics, you midget. You deleted him. Okay, I think I got it. Thank you for that. It's very kind of you. Now, very quickly, right? We're going to grift a little bit and play a little bit of victory music. A little bit. Here you go, Andrew. Chris, $20 bill so you can buy one soda on the plane to California. Yeah, it's that bad. It is that bad. Not one step back, says Vigo. Not one step back. Money will come, I owe you. No, get the grifts in chat. Let's see the grifts in chat. It's time for a little grifting. Just a little bit. Not one step back. The grift continues. Where's the dono chat? You just click the link at the top. It says support via dono. Pinned right to the top of chat. There's the dono chat. This guy in chat, he was just like, there's no donos. Why don't you sit back and watch, son? Why don't you sit back and watch and see at what's about to happen? Haha, he says, haha, there's no donos. Watch, fucker, watch. All right, fine. Was a great. You shouldn't have trolled. If you trolled and said, haha, there's no donos, people are going to go fucking ape shit. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have did it. You shouldn't have fucking did it. But you did. But you did it. Tristan for $30. You, my fellow Canadian. Yeah, once we got the dono chats added up, pretty close to that 1,000, huh? Oh, gift for the grift. I appreciate that. Get yourself some nice Canadian beer. Yes, I will. Harbargnar for 20 says the Confederacy of Independent Systems is more moral than Soy Galactic Republic. No, I think that the Empire was the most moral. Das Commissar for 20. Here's to fake Bishop Andrew Wilson. Thank you. Appreciate that. Clem for 20 says, I know being Canadian is tough and need to milk the American dollar for your smoke and beers. Have a safe flight. That's true. That's true. What? But I'm not a Canadian, you fucking asshole. Robert. I'm only 5 or 6 minutes into the grift. Like, I'm only 6 minutes into the grift. You didn't think that one through, guy. It's like the worst troll ever. Never troll with the haha no donos. What do you think people were gonna do? What did you think they were gonna do? Of course. That music's not good. You're not fucking good. You're not good. Do I do a call-in show? No. No, I don't want to. I don't want to hear shit from you. I don't want to hear anything. I fucking call into my show. My show's too good for you. Can't wait till you become the 51st state, my Canadian grifter. Mean. You guys are being mean again with the Canadian shit. Bring me a drink, woman. Here's to the fake bishop.
If you think I sit around as the world is a fortune waiting to be had, you think I let it go, you're mad. You got another thing coming. You got another thing coming. Legs right is where the talking is. Now listen next, there'll be some action space.
For the grift. Your American accent has improved a lot. Yeah, it's hair metal. What's wrong with that? Of course you're Canadian. You got the beady little eyes and the flapping head. For the grift, bro had an NPC download error and got stuck in the dysfunctional bit. It's really funny. I was trying to go a different route with the argument, trying to explain, like, wouldn't this actually favor your view if you did have, you know what I mean? But we just couldn't get into it. Here you go. Knowing you can't help but ask for money from us like a true Canadian. What the fuck? Oh, how long is this fucking Canadian? Look at this Canadian meme. There's got to be. And they're just going to fuck with me forever. Forever about it. Forever and ever about it. All right. Backing up real quick. We got to get over to the Dono chat. Jess says, blah, blah, blah. I read that. Tristan read yours. But what I didn't read was $750 from Jason Cassell, which we do need to add immediately to this Dono bar. $750 from Jason Cassell. I missed most of the debate, so I'll catch it on the Crucible.video later. I'm sure you defeated this bastard. It was a good one. You're going to enjoy it. That's a hell of a lot of charity to give to a Canadian like me, I guess. $20 comes in from Lucas Zupan. This is me not donating. Also, a little birdie told me sprinkles are disgusting. What the fuck? Sprinkles are disgusting. $10 from Warm Fish. This should be enough for some warm fish. What the fuck? I saw the Gematria debate today, and I could say I predicted this W. You're on episode 4. Predicted that you would have $20 more. You predicted that correctly. But what you didn't predict was that Jason Cassell was going to give $750 over to the grift today. You didn't fucking predict that, did you? I missed the debate. My repentance is giving a dono. Yes. Because the grift. Oh, we're so close. We might as well just finish the 2K, right? And then I can end the stream and I can get to sleep to give you guys some more entertainment tomorrow. Plus more entertainment with Jake Rattlesnake. Plus. I'm looking forward to that very much. Eagerly rubbing my hands in anticipation for the 6 days of California debating. Should be fun. I'm told Farah's done nothing but prep ahead of our debate. I'm entertaining you right now. I'm talking with my what do you call it? My TikTok voice. The sexiest voice on TikTok, according to TikTokers. You got clapped? Maybe, but in a debate. But this wasn't the one. This wasn't the one. You should point to other ones, not this one. $20 from Jason says, "Here, you filthy grifter." Well, it's a little bit of filthy grifting. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of filthy grifting. $250 for a debate plus $1,000 for being a fake bishop and a Canadian. It's gonna last forever, but it's okay. I'll be your buddy guy. Fucking dude, what a dick. Yeah, 2 times the goal. Haha, no donos, LMAO. So stupid. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's like reverse psychology trolling. They're like, this'll teach him. That's like, yeah, you got me. Merry Griffmas to you as always, sir. Great. Also, make sure you go over to the Crucible Grift Shop. Go there immediately and buy fucking everything. I know you Canadians need as much help as you can get. That's true, I guess, Jason. I'm close enough in Michigan to Canada, maybe. You got on Sam C. In debates, he loves hiding behind his crew, feeding him info. Also, check the Jubilee debate. Yeah, I'm willing to set that up, but it needs to be in person. I want to do it in person. So I'm trying to get a hold of whatever his team is, this or that. Whatever already said they would pay to fly him out. They would take care of all of his expenses so that we could do the debate there. I think that that's a great idea. So, I mean, we're trying to work it out, guys. We're trying to get it worked out so I can do this debate with Sam Cedar. He clearly and learned very quickly, well, it's really easy to criticize a fucking picture, isn't it? Andrew, can you explain to me why Christians don't follow Levitical law? Your only black fan? My only black fan? Yeah, there's a continuity in the fulfillment of the law, and Levitical law was mostly for the Jews, so not for Christians. Canadistan dollars? Dude, mean. I'm 56 years old, and when I grow up, I want to be like you. Well, you got a lot of growing up to do. You see how fucking old I am? Look at all this gray in my beard. Look at all this gray in my beard. That's a lie. What? What's a lie? What do you mean? What are you talking about? You're not talking about Levitical. You don't think that Levitical law is supposed to apply to Christians, right? You don't. I mean, you don't actually believe that, do you? There's literally 3 laws for the Gentiles, basically. I don't know if you know that or not, but you see the future of Islam playing a in getting the crystal. Only a Canadian would look forward to a trip to California. Yeah, that's because it's fucking cold, dude. All this Christian charity is dysfunctional? Yes, that's true. Oh, no, only black fan? Yeah, yes. No, I have other black fans, I think. I do. I don't know. The impression. The impression of like, well, I think you know where I'm going. I don't think we've ever given that impression, honestly. It's just, that's never really just been an important aspect of what we do at all. How was a British Columbian blow? It's fucking mean. Guys are mean. Look at that. We're over the 2K mark. This grift. You do? I do what? Copious Maximus says I'm black. Yeah, of course. I'll go back. I keep hoping that Myron will wise up and fire that fucking idiot Gary. It's just, how could you have that guy as a manager? It's so fucking weird. That is by far the weirdest thing. I hope the grift was good. If not, I'm calling Jason Cassell. Yeah, it was good, but it was only good because Jason Cassell made it good. The rest of you You I'm your only fan from Mars. Well, at least I got one. You did have more than one black fan? Yeah, apparently I did. Yes. Apparently I did have more than one. There's at least a couple in chat who identified themselves. Frito? Really? I think I've talked with you in the Discord, too. I don't know. You have more than one black fan? Shit. Well, there's this one. Who's that black dude who goes on all the time when we're doing the invasions? That dude has killer arguments, and he's a great troll, too. He does both. When he's arguing, he argues well. And if he's trolling, he trolls well. Who is that in chat? I gotta send that guy a fucking jacket, dude. It's not payday. Joke's on you. Yeah, that's fair. Like, that. What is that guy's fucking name? Who is it? It's gonna drive me crazy. What's that guy's name? I can't. I don't know which one because I can't think of his name. Who is that? Is it Jarvis? Is that it? I can't think of the name, but that dude cracks me the fuck up, dude. No, it's not God Logic. What the fuck? It steals our lunch money. I'd love to hear your answers to Matt and Evans' question. I don't know who that is. I'm 1/8 Cherokee, so I'm basically... What the fuck? All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Okay, I've grifted enough. We got it over 2K very quickly. Right? Shutting the hate. More happier than... These are second best troll. I'm the first. I don't know, man. That guy's really good. He's he's really fucking good. His name is Dudger. Is it Dudger? I don't know. We got to set up a raid here, guys. I could send you over to Planet Peterson. I mean, he was pretty good faith if you guys want to go over there and argue with him for a while. You guys want to go over and argue? Like, I'll be good faith and send you guys over there if you want to go over and argue with Planet Peterson. You're welcome. Like, he did literally invite us to do that. You want to go over there? I mean, I don't think that guy really cares. He doesn't seem that woke, you know. No? No. Okay, who else is live? By the way, did you see Rachel's going up against tomorrow, and I'm going to be covering it live. She's going up against First Amender. That's going to be fucking hilarious. I can't wait. An unreasonable man. Is he live? Unreasonable man. Nope, he's not live either. You said it to Alf? I guess you're going to Alf then, bro. I guess you're going to Alf, guys. From all of us here at the Crucible to all of you out there in Crucible land. You have a wonderful night.